We are recording. So today's clinic is kind of a part two of what we talked about 2 weeks ago as it related to Google Analytics. And today we're going to focus on Google organic search and Google paid search. Now, once again, both of these topics are really immense. I mean, these are week-long, month-long, lifelong learning that go into them. But what I thought would be a good starter point for this is just to kind of give some basic information about organic versus paid advertising when it comes to Google. Now, when I use Google because I think, what is it, 89 or 93% of all internet users in the United States use Google. But I mean, there's other searches available. But we're going to focus on Google since it is the largest and most widely used search engine, even more so than Bing, and that's what I have more experience in. Now, I will say that to this day, it's still just mind-boggling how complex the system of Google search and Google search results are as it relates to again, organic versus paid, um, reach, ranking, algorithm, things of that nature. And so, I always have to kind of take it with a grain of salt that I only know what I can know, and I can know some of that, and then share that. But as we go through it, if there's some particular questions that you have as it relates to it, please put it in the chat. I'll be flipping back and forth between the main screen and sharing screen and chat as well. So we're going to start out with, I've got a couple pages ready to go. Okay. So let's start out with just kind of a brief introduction of, SEO, so search engine optimization. Um, Basically, in layman's terms, how my website and my web presence shows up when people type in words that look for things that may be my type of work. Now, we've often seen that Facebook, if you don't have a website for your business, sometimes people's Facebook pages are indexed, sometimes their Instagrams are. But if you have a website, that usually takes predominance over, and we'll talk more about what that looks like. But I don't think it requires a lot of explanation to understand why search engine optimization is important as it relates to, oops, sorry, let me go back to the video. Remember to let people in. Okay. Um, why search engine optimization is important for most all businesses. To some degree or another, someone is going to search for you online, whether that's a direct your business name or keywords that describe your business. And so in today's, I'm going to use my Orhan Macmillan website as an example to show you some of the parts and pieces to all of this. But again, I understand, or we understand that it's important. Now, whether that's mobile search, we're also going to talk a little bit about voice search and how that also has changed how Google indexes business. And by voice search, I mean me saying, "Hey Siri, find me the temperature of whatnot," and Siri's going to ask me what I'm talking about. But so voice search is a whole different thing now that we didn't have before, and it's predominant. And so even voice search affects how organic rankings, and it also affects how we, as our website owners and business owners, are um, getting our websites in place and the things we need to do to make that effective. So organic search is, let's just search. I'm gonna pull up a screen here for us. And I'm just, most of you know this, but I just want to kind of give it a brief. Okay. Okay. So organic search versus paid search. So the Google landscape, as you see on the screen right now, is, and you see it, it's pretty clear. And when you type in your whatever you're looking for, you see sponsored first. These are paid. So these are people that are paying, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that, um, to appear higher than these. Now, starting with these, whenever it doesn't have paid anymore, this is organic listing. So organic is how Google chooses to list websites organically that aren't part of its paid platform. So interestingly enough, with such a general term that I chose to use, landscape providers, you're going to get listings and directories. Angie's List obviously comes up. I'm in Natchitoches, Louisiana, so it knows where I am geographically. Today's Homeowner is another listing. The Better Business Bureau, Yelp. So as you see, the first four of these are listing listing businesses, and you don't get an actual business location that's not paid for till the fifth one down, and that's Hoogland's Landscape out of, looks like, Bossier City, Shreveport. And then we come back to Angie's, then Home Depot, then Home Guide. And so we're going to come through that. So here we are with some more sponsored, and we're going to talk about the structure of the sponsoring. So as just kind of a side note, as it comes to marketing in the digital sphere, there is benefit to try to have profiles, and we're going to talk about backlinks off of profiles as well, um, on things like Angie's List, on things like the Better Business Bureau, being a customer of the Better Business Bureau, having a Yelp profile, because organically, the more traffic a website gets in general, and we're talking organic, not paid. The more traffic a website gets, the larger a website gets, the more pages a website has, the higher it's going to rank. It's going to rank above because it's more traffic. And Google's algorithm, in basic terms, interprets that, well, it must be important because it gets so much traffic. So that's why you get those, and you don't really get private businesses until lower on the page. And so here, okay, so that's a basic example of paid versus organic, the how it looks, on the page itself, how it looks whenever you're looking at it. Okay, so next is some key elements of, well, let me talk about, let me jump. I'm trying to get my bearings here. Let's go ahead and talk about the search engine algorithms for a minute. So what Google actually uses in order to list your business. So let me see, I've got some stuff on that here. So, so by definition, there's different aspects and ways that Google uses search engines to index your website. There's crawling, there's indexing, and there's ranking. So by definition, crawling is the process by which search engines, Google, discover new and updated content on the web. They crawl like spiders. I mean, I love spiders, so I have no negative results on spiders, but people don't like them. But they use Google search engines like Google use automated bots, BOTS, called crawlers or spiders to browse the entire web. And it's 24/7, 365 days a year. They go from one page to another, they follow links, and they're constantly collecting data about every page of every website that exists on the planet. So what happens is, and the way that it looks is, let me show you here. We're gonna be flipping back and forth between screens and not screens, etc. So in Google, 1 second. So this is the front. No, let me share my screen. So when Google looks at a website, so you go to orhanmcmillan.com, this is what you see on the front end. This is the home page of my website. Right. Pictures, logos, buttons, colors, photographs, all icons, etc. But this is what Google sees. So this is all that Google ever really sees when it comes to websites. Google doesn't care about what your picture has. Google doesn't care what colors are there, things of that nature. All that Google does whenever it is indexing a website is it's looking at this back end code. And so a lot of this, the structure of this is like all of this right now from here all the way down is back-end coding that defines what this page will look like. So there's a bunch of HTML code, all of this stuff. Now, if you get used to kind of looking at it, it'll start to make some sense to you. But we're like right here, this section is where we get into my menu. So if you look closely, you'll see about Orhan, his services, coaching packages, his work, which is the menu that is here. About Orhan, his services, coaching packages. So this is where that code lives. This is on the back end of the website. So this is where we start getting into wording that relates to how Google indexes. To give a little bit more of like a little back end here, this is all just code that tells things where they need to belong and visually how they appear. Now, it is important for a well-indexed website to actually have good code. Not really a big problem today because of your website builders, where it's WordPress, Wix, Squarespace. It's all kind of self-done in there. Early on in web development, when you wrote your own code, that was a problem if you didn't have good structure code. Usually today, it's not really a big deal because of the, self-publishing websites. But we're not really getting into any text, if you notice. So so here are, let's start with my services. So when we go down here, let's click off of the menu. We scroll down and then let's go here. So we're getting into the main services, personal development, education, training, whatever that I do. And this is where that actually begins showing up. So here's the text, personal development. I believe there's a text. Yes, by leveraging the power of intentional, purposeful connection, Orhan understands. So this actually, the white lettering you see is actual words that Google indexes. Now, the words are important because in a simplified way, when it comes to websites, Google takes all the words of a website and analyzes them. Why would they do that? Looking for keywords. It's looking for what words in the website correlate when someone goes to the Google search bar and types in those. So landscaping companies, when I did that as an example, the Google crawlers and spiders and everything have indexed every website around that have landscape near me that would be a part of that. So those are the results that are given. We're going to talk more about keywords and their importance in writing a website. But those words, honestly, when it comes to organic rankings, the words that you have on the website themselves truly are the most important part of the website when it comes to search results, because that is what Google is actually indexing and using for people to be able to find you. I don't see anything in chat. All right. So again, we'll talk more about words and structure of that, but I just wanted for this, I wanted to show you this is all that Google sees. This is, or index, this is all that search engines actually see on the back end are just all of those words and files, etc., because that is actually what it uses in order to crawl and index. So the process behind the crawling is that initially the search engines start by crawling, websites that are out there. Then the actual crawlers follow links, both internal links, external links. They just it's kind of mind-boggling how this works. I can't even wrap my brain around it. And then what they do is they have a crawl budget. There's a phrase called crawl budget, and that's the amount of time and resources a search engine dedicates to crawling a site. It's influenced by the size of the site, how frequently it's updated, and the relevance, the importance of the site. Now, that's another thing that I talk about with people when I'm talking about websites is I say if you have two wonderful websites like here with my Dane, if you have two websites that are side by side, you and a competitor, um, your competitor, you don't update your website. You're not changing pictures, you're not adding blog articles, you're not adding news articles, but your competitor is. Well, that site has more frequency. Google is actually, the crawlers are actually seeing, oh, this page got added, this page got added, this page got added. Every time I add a blog article, I'm adding 300 to 500 words that are keywords focused on what I do. And that's why that's one of the strategies you use when writing blogs is what does it have to do with your business? And that's the strategic part about it. And the more that competitor does over you, theoretically, because it's not a definite, they will get a higher organic ranking on the same keywords than you do because they update their website more often. So that's why I encourage businesses change photographs, and we're going to talk about how using, because I said a minute ago that Google doesn't care about the photograph, but it cares about the keywords attached to the photograph, and I'm going to show you that as well. So then from there, after the crawling process, it indexes. And by indexing, it's the process of storing and organizing the content that is found during the crawling process. And then Google will build the index. The search engine, they analyze content, they extract relevant information like keywords, and they store it in this massive database called the index. And that's what you saw whenever I typed in those keywords. So, what are some key elements that are indexed? Content, text, images, and other media. And by images, again, it can't see, it can't interpret. Well, not yet. AI maybe one day. It can't interpret the image, but it looks at the photograph words that you've attached. It looks at the video wording and descriptions that you may have attached. The other thing it uses, it looks for keywords or words and phrases that are used on your web pages. It looks for metadata. That's title tags, meta tags, alt attributes that we're going to talk about. And it looks, as I mentioned, the HTML structure. That was all that code that you saw in the back end that usually should be taken care of if you're using a credible website builder and not getting around and messing around too much with code. Um, so another part of that is mobile first indexing. So Google now primarily uses the mobile version of a website for indexing and ranking over desktop. So the mobile rank, now the code is this should be similar, but it's how it is, the wording should still be, but it's how it's organized. Again, it will index mobile versions of a website over desktop first because where more and more people, I mean, every year more people use a mobile device to browse as opposed to a desktop. So we had the crawling, we had the indexing, and now there's the ranking. So ranking is the process of ordering search results based on the relevance to the search query. So what affects the algorithms and ranking factors? So search engine use algorithms involving hundreds of ranking factors to determine the order of results. And the algorithms change. I don't even know what that means, but I know that it uses certain criteria that evolves to decide who comes first, second, third, fourth in organic rankings. Um, authority plays a huge role in the relevant in the ranking of a website. Um, Credibility and trustworthy and length of time. So the longer a website's been there, the longer a website has existed, gives it more authority than a newer website. That's why a lot of times whenever we launch new websites for clients, I tell them we got months before you will see keyword search results. Now, it may only take up to 30 days for my business name to come up, Orhan's Landscape Company, because it'll index that. But when it comes to organically ranking Orhan's Landscape Company with businesses and websites that have been there for 10, 15, 20 years, it's going to take longer and a lot longer for the credibility factor to come up, the authority. Um, the content quality is another important. Is what's the originality of the words? What's the depth and value of the words? Which is fascinating that a crawler can determine what content is valuable and what content is not valuable. There's engagement metrics that they use, which is click-through rates, how many times people click through, bounce rates, which we talked about last week, is I come to a page and I leave immediately. And what's another very important part is how much time people are spending on my pages. So a website that someone may spend 2 minutes on per page on average will have a higher score, air quotes, than a business that only has, say, 30 seconds. And then again, using proper search engine technical HTML tags, coding, and things like that. So again, the algorithms and search engines, they're always updating. I mean, we see that, with that. But one thing I can say is, because I mean, I've been around for decades doing this, is the key factors of content, wording, frequency, blog entries, keyword relevance of website hasn't changed since day one. So that's good because that at least gives the small business or business owner some feeling of some control of some influence I can have over where my website is listed organically. All right, let me just take a little breath for myself and see if anybody got any chat questions. No, we're good. All right, next part, going back to the basics. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about some key elements uh, of organic search engine. So one thing that is kind of important now, I mean, I'll admit that my website, honestly, I need to go back and do some work on it. But I use some keywords in here under services, but I could improve my keywords. So what is it I do? I do training, I do coaching, I do educating, I do facilitating, and I do speaking. So those are kind of like but those are very wide terms, and I could probably do better if I would have more targeted keywords. But the point of that, of what I'm sharing with that, is it's important to think about what keywords are relevant to your business. Now, when I'm working with clients on this, I instantly ask, what are your services? What are your top services? If you have three main services, those are your top keywords. And then you build the keyword bank, the keyword words that you're using around those. So we're going to talk a little bit about keyword research. Um, So one part of understanding what words rank higher than others is you got to know who your audience is. What kind of language does your audience use? Who are your customers? What are their interests? We're going to talk about that a lot during the month of marketing. What problems are they trying to solve? Because each individual overall are going to come to a search engine and use different words to some degree. And even more so when it comes to voice search, we all have our own way of speaking. We have our own dialect. We have our own way of communicating. So that even throws a little bit more confusion into it, is what words are my target audience using if they're going to use voice automated search results. Um, but one way of understanding that, to understand the customer audience, is interactions from them, surveys, reviews. Find out what common terms and phrases are they using when they reference your type of work. Second part of keyword research, and I might have left out, you're doing the keyword research because the keyword research is going to come into some point when you're writing your page content. So when you're actually putting homepage about us, our services, what we do, etc., at some point you're going to draft text, but then overlay that with keywords and making sure you have the right keywords in the right places so you have a good quantity of keywords on the pages of the website. Um, Brainstorming. Think like a customer. Talk to people around you. Here's what I do. What words would you use to find me on a search engine? I mean, that's the easiest way of doing it. And then list different variations. And here we go. Yay, AI. AI can help you if you can go in and say, my top keyword for my type of business is, okay, for me personally, business coaching and advising. Give me a list of words that are variants of that keyword phrase, and it'll give you a full list of. So we even have less work now to do with AI than we did before. You can also use keyword research tools, Google Keyword Planner, SEM Rush, or so you can do a Google search of uh, popular keyword research tools, and you can actually go on and get rankings of a phrase that you think people may be using, but in actuality they're using another version. Um, Side note on that, you may not want the most popular and highest ranking keyword, because what does that mean? It means everybody's using that. It may work out better for you if you actually use a less popular keyword if it fits your audience, because you have less fight to get to the top. So if I have a keyword, Orhan's Landscaping Company, or landscaping services, um, Natchitoches, that's going to be very few in a larger area. I've got less competition because there's less businesses that do what I do. So I may want to find something a little bit different so I don't have as much competitor, so I don't have to be number one. Um, Another thing, look at what your competitors are doing. You saw how I just right clicked and look at view source. You can look at anybody's website and do keyword analyzation. And that is one recommended thing, whether you are trying to improve your website or create a website, is who are your competitors? What do their websites look like? What words do they use? What text do they use? And looking for gaps. What words aren't they using that maybe consumers would use that you can focus on in your website? Words that are either not targeted or under targeted. Um, Also, think about long tail keywords, is what it's called. Landscape services. That's awful short, but doing a longer phrase of that. So North Louisiana Landscape Services, um, Dry Environment Landscape Services, Neighborhood Landscape, where you have more words that are kind of packed in on top of each other, because chances are there's going to be less competition for those. But some of those keyword generators and tools that I talked about can help you navigate and put those together. And the AI, Chat GPT can help you that as well. Um, so Another thing is think about what your consumer's intent is on using it. So, are in your line of work, are they looking for information? Are they looking for navigation, where they're trying to find a specific website in a specific area? Are they looking for transactional things, phrases that users search for when they're ready to make a purchase, when they're buying something? Are they doing commercial investigation? So when they're in the process of making a purchase decision. So all of those things come into play when you're kind of thinking about keywords. But to not overwhelm yourself with it, and not, because it can be overwhelming. And there is no, the other part that I'll add, is no one right answer. And I'll kind of summarize that towards the end. There's no one right answer, and no one keyword is going to make you millions of dollars over the change of another word. It's not going to happen. You just have to do the best you can and be most comfortable. And again, I like using the competitor landscape because that's what we're truly trying to do, is get better results than who our competitors are. And then the other thing is you will monitor them using like the analytics, Google Analytics. We are talking about the keywords, etc. Um, you'll see which ones are working and which ones are not working as well. But again, just common sense. Um, what are your services, and what are the relate words that relate under each of those services that people may use? If you're a physical, if your business relates to a physical location, like I need something from a area near me, make sure to have that area or those areas listed throughout the website, so that if I'm looking for landscape services in Natchitoches, Louisiana, a website that has servicing Natchitoches, Louisiana will come up over a website that does not. And I think one of the most important things that everyone has to have, and I never use absolutes, and I'll share my screen, is Google My Business. Google My Business. Any of y'all that work with me, we've talked about it. We're going to talk about it. Google My Business is a business profile. It's like a Facebook profile. It's like an Instagram, except it shows up on Google. There is no charge for this. You just have to have a Gmail account to associate it with. This may be the most important part of a digital presence, and I haven't said that forever. Um, this is more people on average begin their research by who pops up over here. And this also is affected by, it doesn't require paid advertisement in order for you to show up here. So if you don't have a Google My Business profile, if you're not sure how to do it, if your advisor doesn't know how to do it, get with me and we'll talk about it. But for this one, okay, I'm trying to see. This may be claimed because if it was not claimed, if Mr. Smith, whoever that is, so this is odd because it doesn't really have a website, but it does have a local phone number. So you don't even have to have a website, but it really doesn't have a physical address. It is showing the region of Shreveport, and you can also do regions. So again, I won't underemphasize, I can't overemphasize the importance of having a Google My Business profile for your business. There are some exceptions. You do have to have a geographic location that you're referencing, not a physical address, but it is a very important part of the whole Google landscape. Okay, let me go back to, just make sure I'm on track with my notes here. Okay, that's there. All right. So that's keyword. That was a lot of information about keyword. So let's look at, let's talk a little bit about on-page search engine optimization. Okay. Yes. All right. Just double check. So let's go back to Zoom, share screen, go back to my website. Let's go here. Let's try this. There. Hold on one second. I'm trying to find my, here we go. There we go. So back to here. So let's talk about on-page search engine optimization. Okay, here. You out the way. All right. We talked about pictures and words and content. First and foremost, most important thing are the words that you use on your website. I'm gonna go to our services. So the main services I have, so personal development, education and training, consulting, and speaking. So underneath each one of these, um, I have words that relate to the work that I do. Now, in my work and in my interpretation of the work that I do, I the chances of someone just going online and looking for a business coach or something of that nature are pretty slim, in my opinion. They're going to ask for referrals and get referrals. So the strength of my marketing is in networking, it's in speaking, it's being out in the face of public, it's doing this, right? Because if even outside of the Flyte program or someone you know, they're going to say, hey, yeah, I've worked with Orhan. We do really great stuff together. Oh, really? What's his website? So I don't have a whole lot of emphasis personally on the keyword aspect like I do in my web design company, but I still do focus on it. So what I want to look at, so on-page search engine optimization, there's things like title tags, um, the wording, the keywords that you use. Let me show you my other website. So this website, which is my web design and marketing company, is much more focused on search because people do random search looking for web design companies in whatever area. So I use words over and over: brand development, web technologies, customized marketing, digital marketing, design, software development, branding agency, identity, brand identity. You see the repetition of the words branding agency, digital presence, web design. So these words are structured in there. Um, Digital face, marketing, online, offline marketing, um, marketing agency, and then social media, obviously. So that's intentional words that I use. Let me go to our services. So you're going to see as we get into this, I begin using a lot of words as it relates to the work that I do: branding, logo design, marketing collateral, slogan, web consulting, custom web design. So you're going to see this all over the place. And real quick, I just saw this in my portfolio section. Guess what? You see tags, because it's basically it's a big fancy photo gallery, tags that use website, branding, marketing, social media, repeated depending on what I did for the client. So if you kind of take a step back and throw all these words into a bucket and then sift them and organize them, you're going to get a lot of words that talk about branding, that talk about marketing, that talk about social media, that talk about website. You're going to get a ton of those because they're all over the place. And that was an intentional thing that you build when you're building the website. And so then let's grab Special Olympics. Olympics. So throughout the description, again, here we go: custom website, custom programming, content management. I hope this one gives you a better understanding of what keywords and the role that keywords play when it comes to organic search results. And we get a good result on those things. So that is on page search engine optimization. Let me do this. Now, the other, I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna get rid of the Orhan website and use this one. So, okay, another part of the website, and again, a lot of this is kind of built into your website builders, and there's something called metadata, meta tags, meta description. Let me see where that is in here. Well, let me just look up meta, meta name. There's a 22 references of meta, so I need to find out where it is. Let me go back to the beginning. Let me go to the top. It's easier to, it's not this hard to find this stuff when you're actually building the website. I'm just trying to show you on the back end where it is. Meta. On the back end, when you are building the website, you're able to put in the meta description, which is what shows up. And now it's going to give me my Google profile because I'm logged in. Okay, this is my meta description that is in the code on the back end of my website. Designs Interactive provides innovative web design, branding, and marketing services to Baton Rouge and Greater Louisiana. Call. And then we have our pages. Each page has its own meta description that we wrote inside of there. This is where you go into the back end of the website and you can include that information in your website builder. So that's an important part. So that's a little bit a back end part of on page. Um, and then I'm going to give you, we might have to break this one up over another. We may take a break from search engine. I'm going to talk to Bigby. But nevertheless, because like I said, there's a lot that goes into this. But I'm hoping this gives y'all some information on things to think about. Now I'm going into the back end of my website because there's one thing I definitely want to be able to emphasize because I kept kind of commenting over and over how um, websites can't see pictures. They just can't. They can't read words on, they can't read photographs, but they read what's called alt tags and alt description, alternative tags, alternative descriptions. And that is something you can control. Now, I may not have done it on my own website because I'm not infallible with all this stuff. And sometimes I'm just like, you know what, I don't care. Um, but I want to at least show you where you can go through and put descriptive keywords that relate to your industry on actual photographs as you're placing them on a website. It may take it a second for this to load here. Let's just find a section that has a picture. That was blurb, text, branding. Let me see this branding help. Okay, here's an icon. Now let's see, did I put any text on this? I didn't. But if I was really focused on Google search, I would put and attach these words, these keywords to this graphic so that when Google is indexing all that stuff that I showed you in the back, here's three more keywords, branding and graphic design, which are two more of the services that we actually offer. I don't do a caption because that's actually a literal caption. So if I really wanted to be super focused on search engine optimization, every single picture, logo, background image, Facebook icon, everything would have an alt tag, alt text description to it that relates to my master keyword list. Like I said, sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. You know, you can only do so much in a day. Okay. So let me kind of see 1 second here where I can summarize. All right, let's touch a little bit on off page. That was a little bit on page, internal of websites, keywords, pictures, those things. The off page stuff is like when we did that initial search for landscape services, Angie's List, Facebook. If you have a Facebook page and you have your website, that's a backlink. The more places you can have backlinks of your website address listing out in the universe of the web, the better. So that's how you try to do backlinks on top of there. But when it comes down to it, the basic best practices in kind of summary of all of this, high quality content, wording, and I didn't even really talk about, I'm going to touch on this. We're going to get into more of this when we actually do our marketing series. I honestly think the most important part of a website for any business is their blogger news. Now I think I call what's fresh. I mean, you can name it what you want. Google doesn't care. Now, do not judge me for the lack of frequency of my blog articles. When I had a staff of 12, we did 2 blog articles a month. Now that it's me, I may get you something every couple months. But these articles, each of these here, are intentionally created because they have something to do with the 4 or 5 services that I offer. Website, mostly focused on website design. Second would be like branding and graphic design, software programming. But every article in here has to do with marketing. And so I have a ridiculous amount of of blog entries. I don't know if it's going to index them all because we would just do so many of these. So these are like individual pages. Each one of these, what, 12 per page. This is 12 content pages that go back for years. So, when people say, well, why do I need to write blog articles? People may or may not read them, and that is secondary compared to the importance that Google puts on them. Because again, when I spoke earlier about how it does the rankings, it's frequency and content. Every blog article checks off a little box for frequency, and every blog article, if it's structured and written correctly, is focused on keywords and keyword generation and focus targets and things like that. So I think outside of general user information, consumer information, for Google and organic, the most important thing you can do for your website is have a blog and publish as frequently as possible articles that are relevant to the keywords of the work that you do. Uh, Now, do consumers look at this? Maybe. I use it, I post them, I share them on social, I send them out an email blast. It may hurt that, I went 4 years without writing a blog article. I don't know if people really look, but you can see the frequency that we were doing it before. But I'm not going to stress on things like that. I'm just doing the best I can with it. But I do know that I should be doing more blog articles and more frequently. So I think that's an important side note when it comes to understanding. A couple common mistakes to avoid: don't keyword stuff. And what that means is website design, website design 50 times on a page. You will get penalized because in the brilliance of the crawlers and spiders that Google is indexing you with, it's also looking at what it calls an acceptable quantity of keywords per page because of keyword stuffing. There was a time way back in the day people would actually have like hidden pages that were just full of keywords. Um, Another important mistake to avoid is mobile optimization. Think of how your site is mobily optimized, and how the things are listed and the words that are used in case they are different. And then again, making sure you've got good coding, good HTML structure. We'll probably talk about voice search, what I need to incorporate on my website so that people that may use their Siri or their voice activated things, what terms they use in order to find me. Um, but kind of in wrapping up before I ask a couple of questions, is think good wording. Whenever I'm working on a website with a customer, the words to me, I emphasize to them. I understand from a consumer standpoint, visuals are important. We like good looking websites. We want navigation that's intuitive. Make sure and have that, but really focus on the words that are there, what the words are saying, how they relate to keywords that relate to your business. Those types of things are also extremely important if you're putting any emphasis on online search or online search results. Um, I referenced this to Google University. Google's got lots of online tools to help you understand if you want to take like a little bit deeper dive in understanding how organic search works. We didn't even get a chance to talk on paid search today. We might save that one for another one. I think I want to do a new topic for our next marketing clinic and do something like new and fresh and something we haven't done. We may circle back to looking Google paid advertising, or we may even lump something into a paid advertising category where we can look at like Facebook paid, Instagram paid, those type of things. So let's see. In the last couple minutes that we have, do I have any particular specific questions as a foghorn goes off in the back? Okay. Soup. Somebody's showing. Okay. All right. Well, as always, oh, I got somebody unmuted. No, never mind. Okay. Well, I hope this was beneficial. I hope that there was, like I said, there's a lot of information when it comes to Google and search, but I hope this at least shed some light on understanding how it works, um, and the process behind it to give a little bit insight on how to focus on working on your website. Um, Up my frequency and changing the website. That is, and that may be once every quarter. That may be once every other month. It's not daily. Nobody's got time for that. But again, a little thinking competitor wise, how frequent is your competitor doing it? Do it one or two times more than them, because all you're really trying, you're not trying to out index the world. You're trying to out-index your. Oh, I like that. I've never said it that way. You're not trying to out-index the world. You're trying to out-index your competitors, and so just focus on that. And if there's, I'll hang tight for any other questions, and then I'll with Bibby, and we will come up with a new topic for our next marketing clinic in 2 weeks. And I appreciate y'all for joining in.
Thanks, Orhan. Thanks everyone for joining today.
And I will
Sorry
end
I
the.
couldn't be a bit more involved.
That's okay. You need to rest there,
All right,
friend.
yeah, we'll touch base. And if people want to send me suggestions for